Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Ranay. Just wait for a few minutes. One of my panel member has to join. Just
Okay.
wait for a minute.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, this is Manoj.
Yeah. Hi, this is Raina. Good morning, everyone.
Hello, Raina. Good morning. Okay. Jake, are you there, right? Yeah. Hello. Yes, Jake. So, I guess we can start now, right? Yeah, we can start. Okay. So, Raina, just to start, can you give some details about your current assignment and your technical skills, what you are working with, and about your profile and all?
Okay. Yeah, so currently I'm working in TCS and our client is basically JD Williams, which is a UK based retail account. And here my responsibilities are like I'm actually a backend developer, and responsibilities are like developing the functionalities for our client, and also like unit testing, bug fixing and all. And also we are actually following agile, so we have like daily scrum calls where we actually discuss about what we have done previous and what we will do next. So in that way we are actually creating the Jira tickets and share among our team. So that is basically the roles and responsibilities that I have. And for my technical stance, I am actually a Java backend developer, and here I am using like Springboot microservices. And apart from that, we are using Kafka for inter-service communication, and also we are using Git for versioning, and Docker for like building and testing purpose. And also like for unit testing and all, we are using like JUnits and all with Mockito framework. And for DB purpose, we are actually using AWS DynamoDB, which is NoSQL DB. So yeah, that is like pretty much it.
Okay, so you have mostly you are working on the backend side, like developing microservices, using Springboot, and you have used Kafka, and anything from front end side have you used?
Not exactly. I'm actually not in the front end.
Okay, so what kind of microservices you have developed? I mean, are you writing services, or you are just using them?
Yeah, we have actually created for me, I have created like three to four services from scratch. Basically, what we are doing, we are actually I'm actually working for the same client for like 5.5 years now. Previously, what we have done, that was on hybrids, that was a monolithic architecture that we have, and now what we are doing, we are actually breaking down into microservice level, and we are developing the functionalities, the exactly same functionality what we have in the previous. Now we are actually breaking down into microservice. So that is the main part we are actually now looking at. And this is actually the development phase that is continuously growing up. That is like the thing.
Okay, so when you start developing your one of your functionality for microservice, and so what is the life cycle of that? I mean, how you start with and where exactly you deploy for your testing and how it goes to production?
Okay, so for basically like starting from the scratch, what we actually what we do, we actually create from the starter.io. So actually create that Springboot project, and there we actually we actually write our logics, and after that we actually deploy into for locally deploy, we are actually deploying into sandbox for testing and building purpose. For that we are actually using Docker containers, and for like upper environments like say dev environment or QA environment, so we have like Git for that. So there is a branch always, we have actually created the repository for that, and from that we create the branch and push our code, and it will actually go to the instance. So that is actually the pipeline actually build up on Jenkins, but that actually not I do. We have like separate platform team for that. We actually create those Jenkins scripts for Git repository, and it will actually deploy. It will actually deploy into that Docker container, that instance that we are running, that AWS instance, EC2 instance basically.
Okay, and what is the yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned like you reiterated your code from monolithic to the advanced feature, right? It should be a new user-based or new component-based approach you followed, right? So can you explain what are the best practices that follow? Like you mentioned, you created 4 microservices, right? So in the 4 microservices, what are the approaches that follow in terms of reusability and all?
Okay, so basically the best practices we are following, that we actually validate the request, what the request is actually coming to that service. We actually validate that request, whenever the user actually logs into that user management service, we actually does the thing, create the JWT token and send back to the authorization header, and that authorization header we actually passing through the different services. So from that we actually checking that that the token is valid or not, or like token is expired or not. So in that way we actually processing the request. Then after like processing the request from the like say get mapping or post mapping, what we have in the controller level. So what we do actually, we have created one separate layer to validate the request. Basically we call it like anti-corruption layer. So from that layer we actually validate the request, that if the request means all the fields are valid or not, or like mandatory fields are there or not. So in that way we actually process them that to service, and from service we actually process that to a DAO layer, which is a repository layer, and save it to like DynamoDB, or like say get the same details from DynamoDB. So
okay, so from the 3 microservices which you developed, right, you might be need the same methods or utilities. You are rewriting the same utilities in this 3 microservices, or are you using any reusable pattern which can be reused across for all the microservices? What is the current approach that you follow?
Yeah, currently what we have like one Spring Cloud config server we have created. So from that we actually fetch like the properties file, we actually across shares among all the services. So like the similar properties that all the services that required, we actually fetch them from the Spring Cloud config server, which actually separately build up. And yeah, that is like the one thing that we have done in our application. And also like apart from that, we also for like design pattern, we have actually used like API gateway to call and load balance the service.
Okay. Go on. Manoj, you can go on.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. So you have used Springboot based microservices. So you have used Maven?
Yes, we are using Maven.
Okay. So what different, what kind of approach you have followed to create a application in Springboot? Just if you want to start a project from the scratch, how you do that in the Maven?
What we do actually, we actually firstly download, that means the base version what we have just created from the Spring Starter IO. So what we do, we actually create the jar. So by that means for creating the jar, we have like several commands, like say mvn clean compile package. So it will actually create the jar in the target folder. So in that way we actually building things.
Okay, which version of Java you have used for your application?
Mainly use Java 8.
Okay. So on the server side, which server you have used?
Sorry?
Server.
Yeah, server side basically we are using like AWS EC2 instance, and that AWS server we are using.
Okay, so that is for your production, or you are using for your local testing also you are using the same server?
No. Means for the production we are using that means EC2 server. For local testing we have like the Tomcat server running by default.
Okay, so how you debug your this one? Your microservices, in particular microservices, suppose it is not having a proper performance and it is slow in the production, client is complaining. So what is your approach to debug this?
Means it's running on the production and you want to debug it.
It's running on production, a particular functionality is not giving proper result, or it is slow. Client is complaining that it is slow.
Okay.
So what is your first approach for that, like to debug this problem?
So basically, actually, we have like separate logging service and logging dashboard. What you are using in like Kibana, Grafana. So from that log, we can actually identify which service is down, or which service is likely failing or something. We can have like the error logs in the Kibana dashboard for that service. Is that what you are asking?
That is part of it, but I just wanted to understand your approach, not very specific to your, microservice or your project, what you are doing, but anytime, like if it is a complaint from client, like my functionality for this particular piece is not working, or it is very slow, I am not able to, access it rightly. So it's this kind of performance problem. What will be your approach to debug those issues?
Honestly speaking, performance I haven't actually looked after, so honestly speaking, I don't have like much idea about that.
Okay. So have you used request mapping, request controller?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain about like how you have used request mapping?
Yeah, so request mapping, what we do basically for the request mapping, let's say for our application, I'm telling you, we have like one product catalog ingestion service. Okay, so what we do basically in the request mapping, we actually keep that name into that, so that whenever the call goes into, we can actually identify the API gateway level, actually can identify which service to call. So in the request mapping, we actually specify the product, like say catalog ingestion, and then we are processing like the post and get method what we have in the REST controller. So that is the request mapping what we are using, means what we are following for our application. For each and every service we have like one separate request mapping, and it actually holds the value of the service name.
Okay.
explain the security layer, right? What are the level of security that while writing a code? For example, credit card is there, right? So in that case, what are the type of encryption that you will follow? Can you explain that detail? You are aware of what are the components that you will be using with respect to security?
Honestly speaking, I actually never worked on the payment side, but what I can tell you, like how we are actually doing the authorization. We are creating the JWT token for that, for using the Spring security, that I can actually tell. Means through the username and password, we are actually creating the JWT token by decrypting the password and checking from the DB. And we are actually using like exactly the name, I don't remember it right now. I think H5 some algorithm is there to create the JWT token, so that we are actually using, because means as far means I have told you, like previously we have like one monolithic architecture. Now we are actually dividing into several parts. So I am actually in the product squad, so I actually don't deal with like the payments and all. We have like separate squad for payment.
It's not specific to payments. Okay, we talk about JWT token and all, right? So what is the token? Let's assume your token got expired and all, right? So what is the best approach that you follow?
Yeah, for that we have like one, means in that one utility class, what we actually do, we actually pass that token, and from that token we actually, means in the token, that is actually part of 3 layers. First is the like which algorithm that you have used, and second is like the username and the token expiry time, and last is the authorization, means the authentication. So what we do, we actually pass that authorization JWT token and check that is the token is means we actually means decrypting the JWT token and get that time, means the expiry time, and then we are checking that if it's expired or not. Then after that we can actually create one for the user, or like if that is not the required, and we actually means tell that the authorization token is not valid.
Okay, you mean to say that you will create a new token, or is there any other best approach that we can follow?
Means generally we are actually creating the new token and assign to that. From that, what we are doing, we actually have like username, password, authentication. So in authentication context, so in that context, we are actually saving that username means that JWT token.
Okay, so by any chance you are aware of refresh token mechanism? What is the use of it?
What I know, like it's like part of the Spring AOP. But that honestly speaking, I never actually worked.
Okay, fine. Manoj, you can continue.
Yes, sure. So can you explain like how you do the custom application configuration in the Springboot?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you.
How you do like custom the application configuration?
Custom application configuration.
Yes.
If are you asking about the profiles that we create? No. You are okay. So yeah, for that means let's say. So mainly what we do, we have like one configuration class, and in that configuration class we actually annotate with @configuration, and in that configuration file what we do, actually specify all the beans and all the methodology. Let's say for like say REST template you wanna not run REST template. Let's say for Kafka, let's say and you are passing that Kafka with some new object. Just a moment, actually my screen got locked. Can you able to see me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, that is fine. So, so let's say for Kafka, so we have like we need to specify that what type of object actually Kafka template actually passes through. So in that way we can actually define in the configuration level. So generally, if you just auto add that Kafka template, it will actually send that string message. But if you want to send like one user object or let's say any other object, then you need to define that in the configuration file with the Kafka template. So you need to auto add that bean into that controller or service to pass that user object into the Kafka pipeline. So that is the basically configuration file we have.
Okay. So you have used only Jenkins for your microservices deployment, or have you tried manually too?
No, actually, the Jenkins part actually not I do. Basically, we actually have like separate platform team. We just actually push our code into the Git branch, and that will actually work.
Okay, so you don't have any exposure to like how actually it is configured in Jenkins.
Means I actually once looked at in the file basically. That Jenkins script I actually looked at, means where we have like building and testing, like automation testing, and pushing into Docker container, Docker hub. So that thing I actually looked at, but never actually worked on that.
Okay. So how actually you manage like how many sessions your service can handle, like concurrency? How many users can access your service? There should be a threshold, right? Like this many numbers of users can access your service at a time. How you manage that?
Actually, never worked on it, but I'm thinking of the solution actually.
Is there a possibility like, there could be a situation where it can go to a log, or it could be a chance like your data which you are accessing through microservices that can get corrupted because of the multiple sessions, or different users' data get mixed up with another user data? How you handle this situation?
Sorry, I don't know.
That's fine.
Okay. So how any idea on caching? Like you are implementing microservices, right? So let's assume there might be some static data in order to avoid some backend calls and all, right? So what are the caching mechanism that you are aware of? If by any chance you have implemented caching in your
No, actually. Sorry, I actually never implemented caching, but we have like caching in our application, but I actually never implemented that.
Okay. So what are the log level logging frameworks that you are aware of? For example, if I like to track the user transaction, right? So user failures and all, right? With some identifier, I need to track the flow of an user. So what are the best approach that we can follow?
Okay, so for that logging purpose, we actually created one separate logging service, and with that logging service, we actually created like error logs, like info logs and debug logs, and in that error info or debug, we actually pass the exploitation ID, which actually passes from the header. So with that header, and it's actually the exploration ID is unique for each and every services. So with the exploration ID, we can actually identify which service is actually means which service is log is this, means we can actually directly identify that.
Okay. Okay. So apart from this, by any chance you are aware of some advanced features, like for example GraphQL. So can we implement GraphQL with respect to your microservice implementation? Sort of tools, by any chance you are aware of those advanced features? I'm just checking. What is your current understanding of microservice implementation, right? What else we can do with respect to your day-to-day learnings and all with respect to you are aware of? For example, backend load, in order to avoid backend data load and all, right? How we can do perfectly what you need, what you get approach. Any best approaches that you are aware of? Just checking.
Load balancing we actually do. We have like different services and different servers are there. So we actually using the load balancer, we actually load balance and call that service. And also like we use like circuit breaker pattern, like Strix command, and like fallback method to call, means if the one service is failing, then we actually that fallback method will actually comes into the picture, and we will call the different server in the port.
Okay, fine. Manoj, you can take it.
Okay, so I'm almost done from my side, Jega. So just and I just want to understand, like, have you worked with any databases also from your application?
Yes. Database, basically we are using like AWS NoSQL DynamoDB. Apart from that, I have like a small idea about the MySQL, even though I actually didn't work in our application, but I have like little knowledge about the MySQL thing as well. But mainly we are using like AWS DynamoDB.
From your application, what approach you follow?
Okay, so mainly what we are doing for AWS DynamoDB, we have like separate access key and the secret key for AWS DynamoDB, and that URL where the DynamoDB is running, means where the instance is running. So what we do basically, we actually create the DynamoDB client with the access token and the secret token, and also we pass the region. Let's say it's US East 1, that is like the Ireland region what you are having. So we actually pass that region and the access key and the secret key. Then we actually create that DynamoDB client. From that DynamoDB client, what we actually do, we actually pass that DynamoDB client into the DynamoDB mapper, and from that mapper, what we actually do, we actually load or save everything in the DynamoDB. We can actually do the separate query patterns, or we can actually pass it to and save it to like in the database. Also like what I can tell you, means to retrieve that, we can actually use like what are the condition you need, we can actually pass that to and retrieve that from the DynamoDB. We have like several documents are there, DynamoDB documents, and from that document we are actually getting the value. So mainly DynamoDB is like that. And if you want to know about the MySQL, even though actually not worked much, but what I know about the MySQL configuration is like we have like a Spring data source. In that data source level, we actually pass that JDBC, then MySQL. Then we have to specify the DB, and we have to pass the username and password. So in that way,
unit testing, what you have used?
Unit testing, basically we are using like JUnit. So mainly we are using like Spock testing. With JUnit we are actually using.
Okay, so can you provide some steps, like what for one functionality if you want to write a test case in JUnit, how you do that?
So mainly what we actually do, we actually create the Groovy file. In that Groovy file we actually define, means with def we actually define that which service to call. First we need to initialize that one, and then we need to mock each and everything, means what are the let's say you have like one operator that let's say one service that dot get name is actually get you the one string string value, then we can actually like that means that service, that mock service dot get name, and then let's say what is this angular bracket, angular bracket, double angular bracket, then we actually pass that string value. So in that way we actually get that value. And in order to call that particular method, what we actually do, whenever we have defined previously that class, and class dot get, class dot means what method you are calling, and we need to pass the arguments, and in this way we actually calling that particular method and checking whatever inside. You need to mock everything first of all. What is there, what is means, so you need to mock everything.
So Jaga, I'm done from my side.
Okay.
Anything you can.
Okay. So any code minification pattern that you are aware of, best practice with respect to
Code. So basically we have we have done the peer review thing in our code. Means whenever the development is done, one of the colleague actually do the peer review thing. Apart from that, we have the sonar queue for that, for static analysis and all.
Okay, so you have experience in sonar integration and all?
Not integration part. I only actually check, means what are the critical and major issues. So in that way, actually fix that. And actually this
sonar you have sonar server in place, so you will integrate that sonar in your local editor, or what is the approach that you will follow, or you will deploy your code and run it, and how you will test, any idea on that?
Actually we don't configure the sonar in our local. We have exactly the configuration that I can't remember it right now, but we have coverage testing for each and every test. So if I just run the coverage testing, it actually takes the whole package, and what are the percentage of the class, we can actually identify from that. But not exactly sonar I have used. But coverage testing we actually do in our local, and after that when we actually build goes through the development, or let's say QA environment, then the sonar queue actually automatically runs into, and we can actually see what are the exact features that you have created.
Okay, fine. So last question with respect to you in your project, multiple micro apps that you are implementing, right? Any advanced concept like a monorepo concept where you can reuse the utilities across your micro apps? Any idea or any thought how to reuse an advanced level concept and all? Any idea? Since the same utilities that you are using on multiple micro apps and all, right? How can you use it, or utilizing the code in the best way? What should be the level of your idea on that?
Yeah, for that means we have one separate service which actually have all the entities inside. And from that entity, that is the product data model that we have created, and in that product data model we have listed all the entities, all the DTOs mainly that is used in the several service. We actually call that service to get that means we actually create the dependency in the pom.xml file of that product data models with the version. Every time the version actually got changed, whenever there is some new build come, so we need to specify that with the new build. Then in this order we can actually use one single entity that can be shared with among the microservice that they have.
Okay, fine. I am good. Fine from my end. So, Manoj, we are good, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for your time, and for the next step and all, right? HR will be updating on the next step.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Jiga.
Bye.